Chapter 250. The executives present were dumbfounded. Scarf? What does this have to do with boss's scarf? Zui Yanbai could not reveal too much at once. He coughed softly and said, "That's all I can tell you." This. The executives wanted to ask more, but they were interrupted by Gu Xiaoyang. Since Yanbai said so, he must have his reasons. Believe it or not, it's up to you. In short, don't say that young master's scarf is ugly if you don't want to die. If you want to live, praise young master's scarf more. That's all. Since Gu Xiaoyang had already said so much, it was not appropriate for them to continue asking. They just silently pondered what the scarf that he had emphasized so much was. Their doubts were quickly answered. The moment they saw Hu Qinhuan, the executives present finally understood why Zui Yanbai reminded them not to say that boss's scarf was ugly. It was because this scarf was really a little ugly. Not to mention the size of the stitches, there were no patterns on it. Fortunately, Hu Qinhuan was now wearing it around her neck when she met them. If she took it off, the whole scarf would be slanted up and down. This made the perfectionists and obsessive-compulsive patients, who were used to seeing beautiful scarves knitted with precision instruments, feel very uncomfortable. However, for the sake of their lives, they could not say anything no matter how uncomfortable they felt. They did not even dare to show it on their faces. Hu Qinhuan did not care about their evasive gazes. She went straight to the point and said, "This should be the first time in many years that we are sitting face to face in an office like this." When the executives heard this, their hearts could not help but tremble. Then they heard Hu Qinhuan say, "You don't have to be nervous. I called you here today to listen to your reports on the development and profits of the company's various departments in the past quarter and the past year." Although she said this, just sitting face to face with Hu Qinhuan was already a psychological battle for most of the executives in the room. How could they not be nervous? Hu Qinhuan's gaze swept over everyone, and finally settled on Yu Zian. "You go first. The rest of you can continue." Many people instantly cast sympathetic looks at Yu Zian. They all worked under the same boss, so they had heard about what had happened to the live streaming website that Yu Zian was in charge of. It wasn't easy for them to spend a lot of resources to bring up the #1 sister in the food section. This sister also had the intention to develop in the entertainment industry. They thought that she would bring a lot of traffic to the website. Who knew that once a person became popular, they would become arrogant. After becoming arrogant, they would seek death. They had forcefully destroyed most of their reputation and caused the resources of the website to go down the drain. This was a huge mistake for Yu Zian as the person in charge. Today he was the first to be singled out by the big boss. He was afraid that the bird that stood out would be shot down. He was unlucky. However, what these people didn't know was that the calmest person in the room was none other than Yu Zian. This was because he had long since latched onto the golden thigh of someone who was immune to death. He had nothing to fear. Chapter 251. All the supervisors in the room watched as their boss's right-hand man spent the next 5 or 6 minutes flattering a new female streamer on their company's live streaming platform. They all felt a trace of doubt in their hearts. Did this guy take the wrong medicine? After their doubts, many people couldn't help but feel a little nervous and fearful. Boss Yu, who was in the top position, suddenly went crazy for no reason. Boss Yu would definitely be unhappy if he heard this. Once the city gates caught fire, how could they, the fish in the moat, survive? For a moment, everyone in the room was in a state of panic. Unexpectedly, after Yu Zian finished flattering him, Boss Yu didn't get angry as they had expected. Instead, he agreed and said, "Well, that's good. Keep up the good work, everyone." Yu Zian nodded reservedly and smiled slightly. "It's because Miss is a good person. It's our company's blessing to be able to sign her." Hu Qinhuan looked up and glanced at him. She seemed to be a little dissatisfied with him calling her Miss, but she didn't say anything. She just replied in a low voice, "Yes. Everyone." What the F***ck? Other than the two people involved, Zui Yanbai and Gu Xiaoyang were the only two people who knew the truth. They couldn't help but look at Yu Zian with disdain. Using the young mistress as a shield, this guy was too shameless. Yu Zian sat down leisurely under the shocked and disdainful gazes of the people in the room. He thought happily that it felt good to ride on someone's coattails. No wonder everyone wanted to ride on someone's coattails these days. As soon as Yu Zian sat down, another senior executive next to him stood up spontaneously and reported his work in a well-behaved manner. Everything seemed to be slowly getting on the right track. What Yu Zian had said before, on the contrary, seemed to stand out. The atmosphere in the room gradually calmed down. Only the trembling voices of the senior executives could be heard faintly. Hua Chenhuan sat in the main seat, but she seemed a little absent-minded. From time to time, she touched the soft tail under the scarf, until one of the department managers said that his department had made a certain loss in the previous quarter, and that the total revenue and expenditure for the whole year were barely balanced, or even a small loss. This was quite normal for other companies. After all, if there were profits in business, there would be losses. As long as the losses were not too big, it would not be too difficult. But in this situation, it made people feel as if a storm was coming. The atmosphere in the office became inexplicably heavy. Almost everyone's eyes were focused on Hua Chenhuan. The department head met Hua Chenhuan's emotionless gaze. Cold sweat trickled down his forehead, and his eyes were filled with despair. This suffocating silence lasted for about 10 seconds. The supervisor swallowed hard and suddenly thought of something. He said tentatively, "Ahem. President, the scarf you're wearing today is really nice." As soon as he said this, the atmosphere in the office became even more subtle. The supervisor regretted it the moment he finished speaking. Why would he mention a scarf in such an occasion? Wasn't that just asking for trouble? Who else would he criticize if not you? However, to everyone's surprise, the big boss, who everyone thought would not respond, replied, "Yes, I think so too." Everyone in the room suddenly widened their eyes. Some of the people with weaker mental fortitude could not help but gasp. Chapter 252. The supervisor's body stiffened. He couldn't tell if Hua Chenhuan was happy or not. He had no choice but to brace himself and say, "It's beautiful. Look at this material. It's especially expensive and soft. It must be very warm around your neck. Also, the design of this scarf looks very, complicated. The person who made this scarf must have put in a lot of effort to be able to patiently make such a big scarf." As soon as he finished speaking, Zui Yanbai and the others couldn't help but want to give this person a thumbs up. It was one thing to praise the scarf, but he had even self-taught himself to praise the person who made the scarf. He had hit the bullseye. What a genius! What Zui Yanbai and the others didn't know was that this person had really hit the nail on the head. Because he couldn't praise the scarf, he had to find another way to praise the person who made the scarf. Obviously, he had made the right bet. After listening to his words, everyone present keenly felt that the big boss's face had suddenly softened. What was the secret of this scarf? How could it make the big boss change his expression? Don't do it again. Go back and write a summary report and a guarantee for next year. If you continue to lose money next year. Hua Chenhuan glanced at him. The company doesn't keep idle people. The supervisor's eyes lit up. He hurriedly said, "Thank you, President. I will definitely write it well." This punishment seemed severe, but it was actually much better than usual. Everyone in the company knew that the company didn't keep idle people. Most of the people who could sit in the top positions of the company were very capable. These people didn't mean that they couldn't make mistakes, but they couldn't make mistakes in principle. Moreover, they had to bring benefits to the company. If they couldn't do it, it could only mean that they weren't capable enough. Although they wouldn't be fired, if it was serious, they would have to voluntarily give up their position and give it to other capable people. This supervisor's matter would have been investigated for a long time under normal circumstances. Now he was simply asked to write 2 reports and it was over. It was tantamount to a pie falling from the sky. The people present weren't fools. They finally understood the good intentions behind Zui Yanbai's words. As a result, there would always be people who would intentionally or unintentionally praise Hua Chenhuan's scarf during the reporting process. The atmosphere was unexpectedly harmonious for a while. Relying on the scarves to protect their bodies, the group of senior executives finally got through the reporting difficulty without any mishap. Hua Chenhuan glanced at the crowd and asked, "What about the piece of land that Hua Qihan and his son wanted?" After many rounds of negotiations, they have already obtained that piece of land and are preparing for a new round of property development. Very good. Find an opportunity to get someone to leak out the problem with the underground. Send a copy of the previous exploration report to the higher-ups and lead them to investigate. The person in charge of this matter felt a chill in his heart. He lit a candle for the family Hua and his son, who were about to be unlucky. Their big boss was really efficient in dealing with these weird relatives without any hesitation. He believed that it wouldn't be long before the family Hua was in big trouble. However, they couldn't blame their boss for being ruthless. It was just that that family was too inhumane. Karma was just retribution. Find more work for them in the next 2 days. Don't let them run around and discuss people. He had been looking forward to the wedding for so long. He would never allow that family to spoil the fun. Then your wedding with Miss Su. Hua Chenhuan knew what Zhu Yanbai wanted to ask. She smiled foolishly and said, "I didn't invite them. Neither did the Su family." Chapter 253. When they came out of the meeting room, the group of glamorous, capable, and domineering elites in the industry looked as if they had just been fished out of the water. Their faces were pale, and their backs were wet. "You scared me to death just now. I thought I was going to die here today." "Who said you weren't? When the boss looked at you just now, I was sweating. That look in his eyes was really scary. But you're smart. You suddenly mentioned the boss's scarf." "Hehe, I was desperate. I suddenly remembered what managers was said before and couldn't help but take a gamble." As soon as he said this, everyone's eyes fell on Zhu Yanbai. "Managers what kind of artifact is the boss's scarf? How could the boss value it so much?" "It's not an artifact. It's just that the person who knitted it is someone the boss cares about." Love the boss, love the boss. Someone he cares about. Could it be? A few of them wanted to ask more, but Zhu Yanbai and the others had already left. That afternoon, the manager's phones vibrated at the same time. When they opened it, they realized that it was a rare status update from the boss that they had paid special attention to. When they clicked on it, they saw the familiar picture of the scarf. "Big boss, does this scarf look good?" Everyone. After all, they had complimented it once before. Now that they had experience, their compliments were more sincere than before. In an instant, the post was filled with a bunch of flattery from the higher-ups. A few minutes later, the corners of Hua Chenhuan's lips curled up slightly as he looked at the rainbow farts. Satisfied, he picked the one with the most likes and asked where the scarf had been bought. He replied, "My wife knitted it for me. I couldn't buy it." Everyone. Damn, so it was knitted by the madam herself. No wonder the boss treasured it so much. They really couldn't tell that the boss, who had such a terrifying aura, was actually doting on his wife at home. What a surprise! Su Yiyan, who had no idea that she had attracted the attention of all the higher-ups in Hua Chenhuan's company, suddenly felt her nose itch and couldn't help but sneeze loudly. "Oh, who's talking about me behind my back?" While Hua Chenhuan was secretly showing off her love, the reputation of the first wave of customers in Su Yiyan's restaurant was finally revealed. The real world was different from the internet. Even if there were people from the research institute who spoke up for Su Yiyan, most of the people still held a wait-and-see attitude and did not dare to try it out. When the first batch of diners came out and reported how delicious the food was and what changes happened to their bodies after eating it, many people began to get restless. This restlessness ushered in a small eruption the next day. The first was a middle-aged balding man who posted a comparison of pictures before and after he went to the carnival. Before this, his head was completely bald, and it could be said that not even a blade of grass grew on it. But this morning, there was actually a lot of black stubble on his bald head. Although he might not be able to feel it, at least it was growing. As soon as this person posted it, many people's first reaction was not surprise but doubt. They felt that this was a marketing strategy of the carnival restaurant, deliberately leading people to spend money in their restaurant. Chapter 254. With so much tap water, the restaurant's reputation was quickly improved. Even if some people suspected that they were paid to be a water army, it still couldn't stop the patients who were troubled by their illnesses from being moved by such a large number of positive comments. After a period of psychological struggle, many people finally made up their minds. When they gathered in front of the restaurant from all directions, they suddenly heard two pieces of bad news. One was that the restaurant was limited to 300 orders a day, and this order was now scheduled until next week. The other was, because the store manager is getting married, the restaurant will be closed for 3 days and will continue to open on XX. This announcement is hereby made. Please forgive the guests. A group of guests who came because of the restaurant's reputation looked at the signboard in front of the restaurant. They only felt a gust of cold wind blowing in their faces, bringing up pieces of fallen leaves on the road. It was incomparably desolate. No, the restaurant had only been open for 3 days, and now it was closed for 2 days. How could they be so lazy? Could they be a little more enterprising? The guests who came specially to eat but didn't get to eat, instead, they were treated with a stomach full of dog food. They strongly condemned this. Su Yiyan didn't care about this. She was now wholeheartedly focused on her own wedding. Although it was a little rushed, whether it was her own family or Hua Chunhuan's side, they all attached great importance to this wedding. Hua Chunhuan also really fulfilled his original promise to Su Yiyan's father. As long as others had something, Su Yiyan would have it, and she had more than anyone else. Early in the morning, Ling Xiaoqi and 2 other little sisters of the Chung family came to the Su family's house early. They accompanied Su Yiyan to put on makeup and change into bridesmaid clothes. When they changed and came out, Su Yiyan also changed into a wedding dress. The snow-white shape-down wedding dress highlighted Su Yiyan's figure. The thin slanted lining with the fluffy skirt could be said to satisfy many girls' beautiful dreams of a wedding. The bouquet was mainly white-pink roses, but in the center, there were 3 blue roses that Su Yiyan's favorite, which meant I love you. Yin Yan, you're so beautiful in this. Ling Xiaoqi circled Su Yiyan several times, her eyes full of amazement and envy. Su Yiyan's eyes flashed and she smiled faintly. Are you envious? If you're envious, then find a good man to marry early. You can wear it yourself. Ling Xiaoqi was startled, and her face instantly turned red. What are you talking about? You're not serious about this big day. It's because it's a big day. Su Yiyan held Ling Xiaoqi's hand and said seriously, I'm serious. Don't be disappointed in all men because of your mother. There are so many men in this world. Although there are scumbags, there will always be a few good men. Keep your eyes open and find the second best one. Ling Xiaoqi's life experience was quite complicated. Compared to Wen Jingping, who pretended to be ignorant, Ling Xiaoqi's mother was the real third party. Ling Xiaoqi's mother and biological father met in university. At that time, her mother didn't know that her boyfriend was already engaged, and the 2 families had planned to hold a wedding after both parties graduated. Ling Xiaoqi's mother was already pregnant with Ling Xiaoqi when she found out about this. She was so shocked that she almost had a miscarriage. However, she was also a fierce person. After knowing that she was cheated by a scumbag, she quickly broke off the relationship with the scumbag and took the child in her belly away. Chapter 255. Ling Xiaoqi's mother had never hidden these things from her daughter. Therefore, Ling Xiaoqi hated her biological father to the core. In her previous life, around this time, Ling Xiaoqi's biological father came looking for her, wanting to take her back. The reason was that he had a son with his wife, his fiancée. Originally, he was counting on his son to inherit the family business, but unexpectedly, his son died in an accident a few months ago. Due to his early injuries, he was unable to have another child. Seeing that he was about to die without any descendants, he finally remembered Ling Xiaoqi and her son. He wanted to take Ling Xiaoqi back and help her arrange a marriage so that she could give birth to a grandson to inherit his family business. When Ling Xiaoqi found out about this, she was so disgusted that she couldn't take it. But later, when she found out that her family's capital chain was in trouble, she actually went back to that disgusting home, behind her back, wanting to help her. In the end, she was killed by that crazy woman who had lost her son, and was heartbroken by her husband. She didn't even have time to meet a man who was good to her, loved her, and protected her. When Ling Xiaoqi heard Su Yiyan's words, she was stunned for a moment. Then she smiled helplessly and said, "If you want me to find the second best man, then what about the best man?" Su Yiyan snorted coldly and said proudly, "The best man is of course the one in my family. Even if you're my best friend, it's useless. I definitely won't let you have him." "How dare you?" Ling Xiaoqi, who was caught off guard, wanted to hit someone. As the two were talking, Cheng Xiuqin rushed in from outside and said, "It's almost the auspicious time. Are you ready? It's time to go out." Okay, we're going out now." Considering the security issues and the possibility that some people who didn't like them might come and cause trouble, the location of the wedding was set to be on the island where Hua Qinhuan had proposed to Su Yiyan. One could only enter the island with an invitation. Everything on the island began to be prepared after the proposal. In addition to Su Yiyan's favorite flowers, there were also a large number of wedding gifts, fireworks, and ribbons. The wedding scene was decorated with dreamy colors, beautiful and warm. "Dad, are you nervous?" Su Yiyan held Mr. Su's hand and could feel his anxiety at the moment. She could not help but ask in a low voice. Mr. Su's face was cold as he shook his head. "I'm not nervous." "Then are you unhappy?" His precious daughter, whom he had raised with great difficulty, was about to be married off. How could he be happy? After a moment of silence, Mr. Su chose a more tactful way to put it. "I just miss you." This was an expected answer. Su Yiyan smiled and hugged his arm. "Dad, don't be sad. Even if I'm married, I'm still your daughter. You didn't lose me. On the contrary, you even have a son." "Isn't that great?" Mr. Su was speechless. "I'm well educated. Don't try to fool me." Although he was depressed, Mr. Su still considered the big picture. He knew that his two children loved each other. As a parent, he couldn't break them up and make them sad. He could only cheer himself up and say, "Let's go. I'll walk you there." "Okay." Melodious music sounded. Su Yiyan walked forward step by step under everyone's gaze, accompanied by her father. She knew that someone was waiting for her at the end of the road. Chapter 256. The moment they clasped their hands, the smiles on the corners of their mouths unconsciously deepened a little. Seeing this scene, Su Yiyan's father felt a little upset. He felt depressed as if his treasure that he had cherished for many years had suddenly been stolen, but he had to let go. "I'll leave Yanyan to you. Treat her well. Otherwise, neither her brother nor I will let this go." Hua Qinhuan held Su Yiyan's hand tightly and promised solemnly, "I understand. Don't worry." Su Yanyan's father's expression became a little better, and he sensibly stepped aside. The wedding vows at the wedding were more or less the same, but this time, Su Yiyan tried to change the vows according to their own situation. "Miss Su Yiyan, are you willing to marry Mr. Hua Qinhuan as your wife? No matter in the past or present life, in sickness and in health, in prosperity and in adversity, you will love him without reservation, worship him, take care of him, never leave him, and be loyal to him forever?" Hearing this vows, Hua Qinhuan's heart couldn't help but tremble. An inexplicable emotion rose and fell, and it was indescribably complicated. Su Yiyan turned to look at the people who were accompanying her, and said with a smile, "I do." "Mr. Hua Qinhuan, are you willing to marry Miss Su Yiyan as your wife? No matter in the past or present life, in sickness and in health, in prosperity and in adversity, you will love her without reservation, respect her, love her, never leave her, and be loyal to her forever?" Hua Qinhuan was still stunned by this vows, and he didn't speak for a long time. The people below began to talk about it, and the faces of Cheng Xiuqin and the others darkened a little. Su Yiyan didn't hear an answer, so she turned her head and called out in confusion, "Qinhuan." Hua Qinhuan suddenly woke up. "I do. I now announce that Mr. Hua Qinhuan and Miss Su Yiyan are officially married from today onwards. Now the two newlyweds can exchange wedding rings." Zui Yanbai and Ling Xiaoqi held the rings for the two of them. The beautiful and simple rings were more similar to the previous proposal rings. They looked intimate and warm. Moreover, the inside of the rings were engraved with their names in capital letters. The meaning was self-evident. After exchanging the rings, Su Yiyan didn't need the people around him to make a fuss. He couldn't wait to lower his head and kiss Hua Chenhuan's lips. Hua Chenhuan was stunned for a moment before replying with a faint smile. The crowd below was dumbfounded by this scene. When they came back to their senses, they also began to applaud as if they wanted to see the world in chaos. Cheng Xiuqin and the others felt a little helpless, but they also knew that their daughter really loved Hua Chenhuan. They looked at the two of them with joy and jealousy. After the kiss, Su Yiyan lowered her head and touched Hua Chenhuan's forehead. She smiled and said, "Mr. Hua, please guide me for the rest of my life." Hua Chenhuan's deep eyes instantly softened into a pool of water, and he replied in a hoarse voice, "Miss Su, please guide me for the rest of my life." After that, the two of them couldn't help laughing. There was a banquet after the wedding. Because of the joke that Hua Qihan's family had made before, Hua Chenhuan and the Su family had done their best to invite almost everyone in the upper class to the wedding banquet. The scale of the banquet was not small. Naturally, there were some people who had a good relationship with Hua Qihan's family. When they saw that Hua Chenhuan and the Su family didn't invite Hua Qihan's family to the wedding, they couldn't help but secretly feel indignant for them. Chapter 257. Isn't that right? Even if the Su family had some bad blood with them before, they can't exclude their own brother from this big day. After all, he was the one who raised the family Hua after old master and old Madam Su passed away. Now that he's all grown up, he's turning his back on them. How disappointing. These gossipers were just short of pointing fingers at Hua Chenhuan and calling him an ungrateful wretch. Speaking of which, this Miss Su is really funny. She just had her engagement broken off by the young master of the family Hua, and now she's engaged to the young uncle of the family Hua. What do you think she's after? She's just trying to get back at him. Don't you know that young master Hua broke off the engagement because he had a girlfriend? He's found his true love, and his family is so much better off than the Su family. Why should he swallow his pride and be with a girl he doesn't like? Someone frowned in displeasure. They were engaged after all. If young master Hua doesn't like her, he should have broken off the engagement and found someone else. He went behind her back and broke off the engagement in front of so many people. No matter how you look at it. Before this person could finish, a plump, middle-aged woman adorned in jewels cut her off. Her face was full of disdain. That's because she's useless. She can't even keep an eye on her own man. She deserves to be broken off the engagement, she said. As soon as these words left her mouth, a few of the better-educated ladies frowned and instinctively took a few steps back to distance themselves from these people. These people were in a cesspool and wanted to drag others down with them. They weren't that stupid. These people had no idea that they were being ostracized. They continued to mock the couple's marriage in high spirits. If you ask me, this Miss Su is really stupid. She's marrying a cripple just to get back at them. I'm afraid she'll never be able to make a name for herself in this lifetime. Don't say that. Uncle Hua is a member of the family Hua, after all. How can he not have any assets? Who knows how much money he spent on this island? Most people can't earn that much in a lifetime. The Su family isn't a rich family. Isn't it a good idea to wait for her to die of exhaustion, inherit the inheritance, and then find a man to marry? As soon as he said that, the crowd burst into laughter. The island is beautiful, but who knows if Uncle Hua rented it just for show? Furthermore, I've heard that although this family Hua's youngest uncle looks like a decent person, his personality isn't that good. But that's also true. It's inevitable that he would have some mental distortion if he couldn't even stand up. I'm afraid that Miss Su won't have a good life after marrying over. She pretends to be beautiful on the surface, but who knows how badly she'll be abused in private. It's her own fault for being so stupid. Of all the people she could have married, she chose to marry a cripple like him. Her family didn't even try to stop her. What a money grubber. Marrying her daughter to this kind of person for a few cents is no different than selling her off. As soon as the man finished speaking, a cold female voice suddenly came from behind him. I don't know if my child is stupid or not, but I'm sure some people who like to gossip about others behind their backs aren't very smart. The person who had spoken had kept her voice low. She had thought that only the people around her had heard her, so she hadn't expected to be pointed out. She immediately became nervous. Who was eavesdropping on me? Chapter 258. The noise was so loud that the guests nearby were all dumbfounded. A few seconds later, a few people who were talking to the person who fell finally reacted. They went forward to help her up and screamed, "What are you doing?" The person who hit her sneered and crossed her fingers, making a frightening cracking sound. "You're talking bad about my niece behind her back, and you're asking me what I'm doing?" They were frightened by her words and their faces turned pale. When they opened their mouths to speak, Su Yiyan and the others had already noticed the noise and looked over. "Aunt!" Su Yiyan's eyes lit up when she saw them. She picked up her long skirt and ran over to them. Su Yuding couldn't help but complain. Slow down, slow down. You're already married, but you're still so impatient. What if you fall?" "I know what I'm doing." "Aunt, when did you arrive? Why didn't you tell me in advance that someone would pick you up? I thought you wouldn't be able to make it back." The woman in front of her looked to be in her early 30s, and was wearing a short skirt. She was Su Yiyan's aunt, Su Yuding, Mr. Su's sister. Although Su Yuding was adopted by Su Yiyan's grandparents and was not related to Mr. Su by blood, she had a very good relationship with the Su family. It was just that in recent years, she had been traveling everywhere. Before Su Yiyan's wedding, Cheng Xiuqin and the others had tried to contact her. At that time, she was still bungee jumping in a faraway place and would try to come back as soon as possible. They didn't receive a reply from her this morning, so they thought she was delayed by something else and couldn't make it back. They didn't expect. "I arrived this morning. How could I not be at your wedding? I wanted to give you a surprise, but I didn't expect that there would be some twists and turns on the way, so I couldn't make it to your wedding ceremony." Su Yuding pursed her lips and was a little unhappy when she said this. At this moment, Hua Chunhuan and the others also came over. Gu Xiaoyang went to Hua Chunhuan and said a few words to him. Hua Chunhuan narrowed her eyes dangerously and said apologetically, "It's our fault for not being well prepared. Aunt met someone she shouldn't have met and ruined her mood." "Someone I shouldn't have met?" Su Yiyan looked at Su Yuding in confusion. "Auntie, who did you meet?" Su Yuding snorted. "Who else could it be? It's your big day. Don't you know what kind of blind people like to come and annoy you?" Su Yiyan frowned and quickly reacted. "Hua Xiaofeng? Auntie, did you meet Hua Xiaofeng? Where is he?" Before Su Yuding could answer, Gu Xiaoyang had already coughed softly and held back his laughter. She was sent to the hospital by Ms. Su. Cheng Xiuqin and the others had just arrived when they heard this. They asked curiously and excitedly, "Pfft, what's going on? What happened? Why is Hua Xiaofeng in the hospital again?" The word "again" could be said to be very eloquent. Gu Xiaoyang smiled under everyone's probing gazes and said, "It's like this. When Ms. Su arrived, she happened to meet Hua Xiaofeng and his girlfriend who wanted to forcibly land on the island. The security guards at the edge of the island didn't receive their invitation and didn't want to let them on the island. The two sides had a dispute. Chapter 259. After hearing Gu Xiaoyang's words, the group of people looked at Su Yuding with astonishment and even fear. It seemed that they had never thought that such a beautiful and charming woman could be so lethal. Only the Su family was quite calm about this, especially Su Yiyan. Her skills were first learned from Su Yuding. Later, when Su Yuding started to travel around, her family found a few other good coaches to help her with the formal training system. Because of this, the relationship between the two was the best in the family, and their temperaments were quite similar. Su Yiyan was fine. She would at least say a few words before the fight. Su Yuding's temper was much more explosive. She was the type who would not talk much if she could fight. Hua Xiaofeng and Wen Jingping were really lucky. They could have met anyone, but they met Su Yuding and were sent to the hospital. Su Yiyan and the others did not have much sympathy for them. On the contrary, they were somewhat gloating. They did not even send invitations to the family Hua, because they did not want to see the ugly faces of this group of idiots on this big day. They rushed to disgust them. Now that they were in the hospital, they could only curse that they deserved it. "Auntie, did you fight with them? Are you okay?" What can happen to me? Even if there were 10 of them, they would not be able to defeat me. If it were not for your big day today, it would be inauspicious if something really happened. I would have pressed them into the water for a while. Su Yuding snorted coldly. She was not happy. She did not really want to kill the two people. She just thought that if they were soaked in the water for a while, their brains would be completely stupid. That would save them a lot of trouble. Su Yiyen understood her implication. She laughed and said, "Yes, yes, yes. I know that you are the best, Auntie. Let alone 1 or 2 soft-footed shrimps like Hua Xiaofeng. Even if there were 10 or 8 of them, you would not care about them. However, it's all thanks to Aunt that my wedding with Chen Huan went so smoothly. This is all thanks to Aunt." Su Yuding subconsciously glanced at Hua Chenhuan, who was not far away. "Is this your husband?" Su Yiyen blushed and giggled. "Yes, Auntie, you can just call him Chenhuan. You look quite decent, but I don't know if you can protect yourself." Su Yuding narrowed her eyes and went straight to the point. "Niece-in-law, someone just mocked our family's Yen Yen for marrying a disabled person, and even mocked my brother and sister-in-law for selling their daughter. Are you going to do something about it?" "What?" Su Yuting's words made everyone's expression change. After the initial shock, the few of them seemed to have thought of something. Their eyes fell on the woman who was kicked to the ground by Su Yuding. Although she had already stood up with the help of others, her face was unusually miserable. "No, it's not like that. I didn't." It was true that the woman liked to gossip, but she was not completely brainless. Bad-mouthing people behind their backs and bad-mouthing people in front of them were two completely different things. She instinctively wanted to defend herself, but was interrupted by Su Yuding. "Do you mean that I wronged you?" Chapter 260. It was a light sentence, but it made those people feel an inexplicable chill run down their spines. "Don't slander us. We didn't say anything." "That's right. Just because she's from the Su family, you can't slander her like this." Su Yuding sneered. "I haven't even said what you said. Why are you feeling guilty?" They choked instantly. While they were arguing, Zui Yanbai had roughly told Hua Chenhuan about the identities and backgrounds of these people. Naturally, he also emphasized their relationship with Hua Qihan's family. Hua Chenhuan's eyes turned cold. "Mrs. Zhen, Mrs. Liu, Mrs. Zhu, right? Go back and tell your family that the Hua group will cut off all business cooperation with your family. If you don't want to go bankrupt, find another family as soon as possible so that you don't end up on the streets." When they heard Hua Chenhuan's words, their expressions changed slightly. Mrs. Zhu, who had the best family background, couldn't help but take a step forward and say with some arrogance, "What right do you have to cut off family Hua's cooperation with us? You're just a..." Before Mrs. Zhu could finish her words, Hua Chenhuan interrupted her. "Because I'm the only legitimate heir of family Hua. Yanbai, see them out. I don't want to see these families again." Hua Chenhuan's words clearly meant that she wanted to blacklist these families completely. Zui Yanbai respectfully responded with an excited smile in his eyes. Zui Yanbai had always been nimble. As soon as Hua Chenhuan finished speaking, he rushed forward with a group of people and carried the women out. The women didn't expect Hua Chenhuan to really hit them. They struggled and cursed angrily, but it didn't change the fact that they were thrown out. When they were completely thrown out of the manor, and the house was quiet again, Hua Chenhuan raised her eyes and glanced at Gu Xiaoyang. Gu Xiaoyang instantly understood and said with a smile, "There are too many people here, and we didn't notice that a few rats had sneaked in and affected everyone's mood. It's our negligence. Please don't mind it. After the banquet is over, we will prepare a small gift for each of you as an apology for what happened just now." As soon as Gu Xiaoyang's words came out, many people echoed and said that it was okay. The atmosphere seemed to have returned to the lively atmosphere before the accident, but there was an inexplicable depression. But no matter what, after such a ruckus, even if there were still people who ridiculed the marriage of the two, they didn't dare to rashly announce it. The word bankrupt was not a joke. Although some of them, like those women, were skeptical of Hua Chenhuan's words just now. However, it would be very foolish of him to bring trouble to his own family just because of a few words of gossip. The losses outweighed the gains. During the process of Hua Chenhuan throwing the women out, Su Yuding and the Su family were observing from the beginning to the end. When the matter was almost settled, she asked meaningfully, "Is what you said just now true? Can you influence the decision of the Hua family and make them bankrupt?" Hua Chenhuan's expression didn't change. She said indifferently, "Auntie, I never say things that I'm not sure about." Su Yuding raised her eyebrows slightly and continued to ask, "Isn't it making a mountain out of a molehill to make them bankrupt just because of a few words of gossip?" Chapter 261. Su Yuding stared at Hua Chenhuan for a long time, before she finally smiled sincerely. "I like your personality. Yin Yin has good taste. At least he picked a responsible girl. As his aunt, I can rest assured." Cheng Xiuqin and the others couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when they heard her words. Children have their own lives. Children have their own ideas. As adults, we shouldn't interfere. Whatever we say now is meaningless. We should think about how to live a good life in the future. "That's true." Su Yuding glanced sideways at Su Yiyan. "Did you hear that? Since you're married, you should settle down and live a peaceful life. Don't let your parents worry about you. Got it?" After that, no one mentioned those women who ruined the mood. However, this didn't mean that the matter was over. Not to mention that Hua Chenhuan had said that he would make them pay the price. Mr. Su and the others couldn't tolerate those gossipy women talking about him selling his daughter. Sooner or later, they would get back at them. Perhaps Hua Chenhuan's threat was effective, or perhaps no one dared to stir up trouble at night and risk being thrown to the bottom of the sea to feed the fish. When the banquet was completely over and the guests had all left, nothing else happened to spoil the mood. Mr. Su and the others were the last to leave. They reluctantly left the manor with Ling Xiaoqi and the others as bridesmaids. The two newlyweds finally had a chance to be alone. "I'm exhausted. I've been busy all day. It's even more tiring than when I worked in the shop." Su Yiyan rolled around on the soft bed and suddenly turned to look at Hua Chenhuan. She got up from the bed and sat on Hua Chenhuan's body. Like an octopus, she hugged his neck and rubbed against him. "But it's worth it. From today onwards, we're officially husband and wife." Hua Chenhuan's heart skipped a beat. He hugged Su Yiyan's waist back and said in a low voice, "Okay. Are you not happy?" Su Yiyan keenly sensed Hua Chenhuan's mood and looked up at him. Hua Chenhuan touched her face with the back of his hand and smiled. "No, I'm very happy. But why do I feel that you're not in a good mood? Are you not feeling well?" Hua Chenhuan shook his head again. After a moment of silence, he said apologetically, "Tonight is our wedding night, but I can't do anything." Su Yiyan was stunned. Only then did she remember the crux of the problem. She laughed and said, "Who said that we can't do anything? We can do a lot of things." "What? Did you get someone to make the bathtub I asked you to prepare?" "Yes." "Where?" "In the bathroom cubicle." Hua Chenhuan heard Su Yiyan say that she wanted to use the bathtub to take a bath. He thought that she didn't like to use a bathtub, so he asked someone to separate a small room in the original bathroom with a bead curtain and put the bathtub there. Su Yiyan immediately jumped down from Hua Chenhuan's body and rushed into the bathroom. After finding the bathtub in the small cubicle, her eyes lit up. She quickly began to add hot water and the medicinal herbs that she had prepared earlier. "What are you doing?" Hua Chenhuan saw this scene when he heard the noise and came over. Su Yiyan saw him coming over. She smiled and waved at him. "Come here, I'll help you take off your clothes." "Take off my clothes?" Hua Chenhuan's hand that was holding the wheelchair handle suddenly paused. Chapter 262. Hua Chenhuan was caught off guard by Su Yiyan's rhetorical question. For a moment he didn't know how to refute it. Su Yiyan had already soaked all the herbs. Seeing that Hua Chenhuan was still sitting there in a daze, Su Yiyan rolled her eyes and walked over with a smile. "It's not convenient for you. Let me help you." Hua Chenhuan seemed to wake up from a dream. Blushing slightly, he said, "No need. I can do it myself." "It's too slow for you to do it yourself. Let me do it." "Hua Chenhuan." Su Yiyan saw his resistance and teased, Or are you embarrassed? Hua Chenhuan didn't say anything, but the tips of his ears quietly turned red. The smile in Su Yiyen's eyes deepened. She chuckled and said, "We are husband and wife. What can I not see about you?" Hua Chenhuan. Although there was nothing wrong with what she said, didn't their identities switch? In the end, Hua Chenhuan couldn't resist Su Yiyen's fervent attacks. He had no choice but to agree to Su Yiyen's request. Hua Chenhuan was still wearing the white wedding suit outside and a white shirt inside. Su Yiyen took a deep breath and helped him unbutton his shirt one by one. She was like a child unwrapping a birthday present. Her eyes were shining, and there was a little excitement in them. In fact, the scene inside didn't disappoint her. Although Hua Chenhuan looked thin, he was the type who looked thin in clothes but had muscles when he took them off. Especially his arms, which were firm and muscular. Even if his lower body was paralyzed, he had never given up on training his upper body. Su Yiyen's first reaction was to blush when she saw this scene. However, when she saw Hua Chenhuan's legs, which had shrunk due to years of insomnia, her shyness was instantly replaced by heartache. Her eyes were slightly red as she caressed Hua Chenhuan's legs. Her movements were careful and without any lust, as if she was touching something fragile. Hua Chenhuan had long been used to people looking at his legs with contempt and disdain. However, he still felt a little sad when he saw Su Yiyen's sad gaze. He reached out to hold Su Yiyen's hand and said in a hoarse voice, "If you continue to touch them, I'll have to charge you." Charge? Su Yiyen was stunned. She raised her eyebrows and asked, "What kind of charge?" "If you touch me, you kiss me on the face. If you touch me twice, kiss on the forehead. Kiss me on and so on and so on. If you can't pay, you can give yourself to me." When Su Yiyen heard the first few sentences, she felt that the payment method was a little familiar. She almost could not help but laugh when she heard the last sentence. Wasn't this charging method the VVV, special benefit for IP customers that she had previously set? "Aren't you making a loss by charging so much?" "Lose." Of course. Su Yiyen took the initiative to kiss Hua Chenhuan. "I was originally yours. Don't you think you're losing out by exchanging your own things for these?" When Su Yiyen said this, Hua Chenhuan's expression couldn't help but soften a little. Although the room was warm, it would still be cold after sitting for a long time. Su Yiyen didn't continue to explore Hua Chenhuan's legs. She whispered, "I'll help you sit in the bathtub." "No need." With Su Yiyen's thin arms and legs, the bathtub was at least a little tall. Hua Chenhuan was still aware of his own weight and directly pressed the wheelchair below. Chapter 263. Although the wheelchair couldn't completely replace his legs, it could at least ensure that he didn't need to rely on others for his daily life. Su Yiyen watched Hua Chenhuan enter the tub with the help of the wheelchair and hurriedly asked, "How do you feel? Is it too hot? Do you want to add some cold water?" There was a seat at the bottom of the tub to ensure that after a person sat in it, the water could only stay near his shoulders. After sitting down, Hua Chenhuan smiled at Su Yiyen and comforted her. "It's okay. The temperature is suitable. It's just that the smell is a little strange. I added a lot of Chinese herbs to dredge the muscles and bones, promote blood circulation, and remove blood stasis. It will smell a little strange. Is it bad?" "It's not bad. It just feels a little special. I've never smelled this before. Bear with it for the sake of treatment. If you're not used to this smell, I'll change some herbs for you another day." "No need. I can accept this smell." Su Yiyen repeatedly confirmed that Hua Chenhuan really didn't reject this smell. She was relieved and asked with a smile, "Do you feel any difference in your body now?" Hua Chenhuan was silent for a moment and said honestly, "It's a little hot." "Hot. This is a normal reaction." Su Yiyen asked tentatively, "Can you feel the side of your legs?" Hua Chenhuan knew what Su Yiyen wanted to ask. She lowered her eyes and shook her head in disappointment. Su Yiyen's heart ached and she hurriedly comforted her. "It's okay. This is just the beginning. The medicinal diet and acupuncture haven't been done yet. You'll feel it one day." "Okay. It's your first time today, so you have to soak for more than half an hour. If you feel that the water is cold, remember to tell me. I'll add more water for you." Okay. After testing the temperature of the water, Su Yiyan leaned on the edge of the tub and waited with Hua Chunhuan for time to pass. As she waited, she seemed to think of something and burst out laughing. Hua Chunhuan heard the sound and turned to look at her in confusion. What's wrong? Nothing. It's just that when you sit in the tub, it's like sitting in a big pot. In particular, the color of the medicinal bath was brown. It looked like Su Yiyan's throat couldn't help but move. She smiled foolishly and said, add some star anise, cinnamon, nutmeg, fennel. The fragrance will spread for 10 miles. Literally. Eat. Calm. Hua Chunhuan soon realized that the person guarding him was so tired that she had fallen asleep. He felt helpless and a little distressed at the same time. He reached out and touched her cheek, only to see her lips moving slightly as if she was saying something. He leaned closer to listen carefully and heard her muttering, braised eggs, chicken legs, chicken feet, duck gizzards. Hua Chunhuan was slightly stunned and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He glanced at the time on the edge of the wheelchair and got up by holding the edge of the tub. He wanted to carry Su Yiyan back to the room. Unexpectedly, when he reached out, he heard Su Yiyan whisper again, Chunhuan, I like you. Chapter 264. Su Yiyan slept until almost 9 o'clock the next day, perhaps because she had been too tired the previous day. Only then did she reluctantly wake up. In a daze, she heard a familiar chuckle. Su Yiyan was stunned for a moment before she realized that there was someone lying next to her. Her brain, which had just woken up from a deep sleep, was still a little dazed. She subconsciously moved back. The laughter by her ear paused, and then a familiar voice asked, You're awake? Only then did Su Yiyan remember that yesterday was her and Hua Chunhuan's official wedding day. Now, the person lying next to her was her husband. Realizing this, Su Yiyan's face suddenly turned red. She lowered her head slightly and said, Morning. Morning. Hua Chunhuan's lips curled up slightly, and he took the initiative to kiss Su Yiyan. The scene in front of him was something he had imagined countless times, but he did not dare to hope for. Now it had become reality. After being kissed, Su Yiyan was still a little dazed. After a while, she remembered that she was shy. At the same time, she also remembered what happened last night. How? How did I fall asleep last night? You were too tired. You were busy the whole day, so you fell asleep lying next to the bathtub. Su Yiyan was even more embarrassed when she heard that. She had clearly said that she would accompany him, but in the end, she had fallen asleep first. Were you the one who carried me to the bed? Yes. Su Yiyan did not dare to look into Hua Chunhuan's eyes. If Hua Chunhuan's body was fine, after sleeping last night, she was afraid that she would wake up in a different situation today. With that thought, Su Yiyan's face turned even redder. Cough. Did you soak enough time last night? Yes. Hua Chunhuan saw Su Yiyan's embarrassment. His eyes turned slightly, and he deliberately teased her. You talked in your sleep last night. Dream talk. Su Yiyan was shocked. What did I say? You said. Hua Chunhuan dragged her words to keep him in suspense. When Su Yiyan's heart skipped a beat, she said faintly, You like me. You like me very, very much. I'm the person you like the most in the world. Su Yiyan was stunned. When she came to her senses, her entire face turned red. Hua Chunhuan did not intend to let her go so easily. She smiled and said, So, you like me so much? Su Yiyan's face was so hot that it could fry an egg. When she heard his words, she suddenly looked up at him. She got up and jumped onto Hua Chunhuan. So what if I am? I was wrong to like my own husband. Hua Chunhuan looked at the person on top of him, and the teasing smile on his face gradually disappeared. She said fiercely that she liked him, but her flushed little face had already betrayed her. She was like a little kitten guarding its territory. All the hair on her body stood up, just to not show her fear. Hua Chunhuan's smile did not disappear. Well, you didn't do anything wrong. You like me. Su Yiyan was stunned. Only then did she realize that she might have been fooled by Hua Chunhuan. She was embarrassed and angry. You. Before she could finish speaking, the door was suddenly opened from the outside. Young master, young madam, are you awake? Uncle Zhang asked me to. Yu Zian's cheerful words came to an abrupt end. She stared blankly at the scene in the room. Su Yiyan widened her eyes in disbelief at the intruder. Before she could say anything, Yu Zian closed the door with a bang, as if he had been scalded. I didn't see anything. You can continue. After shouting, the sound of Yu Zian's running came from outside the door. This guy clearly realized that he had made a big mistake and fled, to avoid punishment. Su Yiyan. Chapter 265. After Yu Zian ran away, the two of them looked at each other for 2 seconds. Su Yiyan was the first to react. She jumped off Hua Chenhuan's body and ran to the bathroom as if she was escaping. I'm going to brush my teeth first. Get up quickly. Let's go down and eat. Hua Chenhuan looked at her fleeing figure, and couldn't help smiling. She touched the spot where she was pulled and got up. When Su Yiyan pushed Hua Chenhuan downstairs, only Uncle Zhang was standing at the dining table, fiddling with things. Yu Zian was nowhere to be found. He probably had to hide outside to avoid trouble for the rest of the day. When Uncle Zhang heard the noise, he subconsciously turned his head and looked in the direction of the sound. When he saw the two of them coming down hand in hand, his eyes lit up. He smiled and said, Young master, young madam is awake. The kitchen just made a few more snacks today. Young madam, take a look and see if they are to your liking. Su Yiyan pushed Hua Chenhuan to the dining table. She glanced at the snacks on the table and was stunned. These snacks. Uncle Zhang knew what Su Yiyan wanted to ask, so he explained first. Young madam made a lot of snacks for young master. These snacks were made by the family chef. The taste is definitely better than the ones you made. Time is tight this morning. Young madam, you can eat some first. When we return to the family mansion tomorrow, I'll ask the kitchen to make more delicious snacks for you and young master. When Su Yiyan heard him say this, she was surprised and amazed. The family Hua chef could recreate the same snacks just by looking at them. This family chef was really talented. Su Yiyan walked to the seat next to Hua Chenhuan and sat down. She first picked up a soup dumpling and then an egg tart. She realized that not only did the snacks look the same, but they also tasted similar to the ones she made. She immediately sighed. Your family chef is really amazing. When Hua Chenhuan heard Su Yiyan praising the family chef, her eyes flashed. She said in a deep voice, You're even better. Their food isn't as good as yours. Su Yiyan's hand paused. She couldn't help but smile sweetly. Then I'll make all your meals from now on. Before they got married, Su Yiyan often gave him special treatment. Now that they were married and living together, she naturally had to take care of everything and make more supplements for Hua Chenhuan's body. When Hua received an affirmative answer, her face softened. When he heard the two's conversation, the smile on his face became more and more sincere. Not to mention that there weren't many people who knew how to cook these days. Even if they did, very few people would be willing to provide 3 meals a day for the people around them. Not to mention Su Yiyan, who was pampered since she was young. She was a rich young lady who had been pampered since she was young. Uncle Zhang was an old man in the family Hua. When Hua Chenhuan's parents were still alive, he had been working in the family Hua. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that he had watched Hua Chenhuan grow up. When he first found out about the reason for their marriage, he had some guesses and prejudices against Su Yiyan. However, during this period of time, he had seen Su Yiyan's care for Hua Chenhuan. Now that he saw the way the two of them interacted, he couldn't help but sigh. The young master had good taste. He liked Miss Su at first glance. Unlike some people who mistook fish eyes for pearls, they would regret it one day. Su Yiyan didn't know what Uncle Zhang was thinking. Just as she was about to pick up another bun, a bowl of fragrant red bean porridge was placed in front of her. Chapter 266. Su Yiyan looked in the direction of the hand that was holding the porridge, and immediately met Uncle Zhang's kind eyes. I heard that on ancient Earth, the bride must eat a bowl of red bean porridge on the second day of her wedding to express the joyous occasion. Young mistress, since you like ancient Earth food so much, you must like this custom too, so I asked the kitchen to make this bowl of red bean porridge. Su Yiyan was speechless. Red bean porridge was indeed a symbol of the couple's lingering feelings after marriage, but if she remembered correctly, when ancient Earth people drank red bean porridge on the second day of their wedding, it usually meant that the two of them were already. When she thought of this, Su Yiyen's face immediately flushed red. She opened her mouth to explain that nothing had happened between them last night, but then she remembered that the two of them were now husband and wife, so it would be strange if nothing had happened between them. She could only silently accept this hint and drink the red bean porridge mouthful by mouthful with a red face. When Uncle Zhang saw that she was obediently drinking the porridge, he felt rather comforted. After the two newlyweds entered the house last night, he was still a little worried and stood outside for a long time to listen in. He clearly heard Su Yiyen say that she wanted to help Hua Chenhuan take off her clothes. Uncle Zhang's first thought at that time was that this young mistress looked young and immature. He didn't expect her to be so proactive in front of his young master. However, this was also good. With his young master's temperament, he really needed a proactive girl to complement him. In addition, when Su Yiyen pushed Hua Chenhuan downstairs, she subconsciously held her waist a few times. She was exhausted from standing for so long yesterday. So Uncle Zhang was even more certain that the two of them had done what they should have done last night. Su Yiyen still didn't know that her simple action of holding her waist had inexplicably turned into a huge melon, because of the old man's imagination. After breakfast, she pushed Hua Chenhuan outside to admire the flowers and digest her food. "Oh right, did you feel uncomfortable after the medicinal bath last night?" When Su Yiyen said this, she couldn't help but feel a little regretful. "Last night How did I fall asleep?" "I'm fine. I didn't feel any discomfort after the bath yesterday. On the contrary, I feel that my limbs aren't as cold as before. I slept very well yesterday." Su Yiyen breathed a sigh of relief when she heard what he said. "That's good. The fact that your limbs are warm means that your blood is circulating. I'll give you acupuncture and massage in the evening. Then, I'll prepare some medicinal cuisine to go with it. Let's see how it works." Yes. Hua Chenhuan's cooperation made Su Yiyen happy, but she was also curious. "You're just letting me do whatever I want. Aren't you afraid that I'm messing around and treating you badly?" "You won't." Su Yiyen was slightly startled. "Why? You can't bear to." Being exposed, Su Yiyen groaned gloomily. "Now you are confident. I wonder who was the one who was afraid that I would dislike him." Hua Chenhuan instinctively turned to look at her and teased. "At that time, I didn't know you liked me so much. Of course I was worried." "Now you know?" "Yes." "Humph." Su Yiyen groaned proudly, but she didn't refute Hua Chenhuan's words. Hua Chenhuan raised the corner of his mouth. Immediately he seemed to think of something and asked in a low voice, "Aren't you going out today?" Su Yiyen suddenly stopped and said unhappily, "It's only the first day of our marriage. Do you want to drive me out?" "No, I just heard from your brother that you've been very busy every day since you opened the shop." Chapter 267. Unfortunately, the conditions didn't allow it, so she could only leave this regret for the future. While the two were talking, Dun, who had been locked upstairs and hadn't been released yesterday, finally regained his freedom and rushed out of the house happily. He kept circling around Su Yiyen and barking. Only then did Su Yiyen remember this dogson who had been neglected by her for a long time. Her eyes turned slightly, and she leaned close to Hua Chenhuan's ear and asked with a smile, "Are you afraid of noise?" "Noise? I want Xiaoqi to bring Huahua over. Look at how much our son misses his wife," Su Yiyen said and looked meaningfully at Dun. Dun seemed to understand her words. He kicked his legs forward and collapsed on the ground, looking at his dog father eagerly. "Hua Chenhuan, you're the mistress of the manor. You decide." "Okay, I'll call her now. I'll make delicious food for you at noon." As soon as she said that, Dun immediately barked a few times happily, as if he knew that he would soon be able to meet his dream-love dog. The reason why Su Yiyen asked Ling Xiaoqi to come over at this time wasn't just for Dun, but also because she wanted to call more people to eat together and liven things up. At that time, the foodie patients who were complaining on the internet that Su Yiyen was lazy in doing business, and that the shop had only been open for 3 days before she left the customers to get married. She was really too irresponsible. Suddenly, a reminder popped up as they scrolled. Su Yiyen's live broadcast room, which had been closed for nearly a week, was now live. Look at what I saw. The missing person is back online. Hey, didn't the little cutie who went to the shop say that the streamer went to get married? Why is she live broadcasting at this time? Who cares why the streamer is live broadcasting at this time? It's good that there's food to eat. Streamer, are you releasing a new product today? Su Yiyen looked at the various messages that flew across the screen, as well as the increasing number of viewers in the upper right corner of the screen. He smiled and said, I did go to get married. Today is the first day of my wedding. I wanted to share the good news with everyone, so I started the live broadcast. As soon as Su Yiyen's words came out, the live stream instantly exploded. It's the host's first day of marriage, yet she still has so much energy. Looks like it's the host's husband's fault. Hehehe. What are you talking about upstairs? I'm still a pure and innocent baby. I don't understand. I'm curious about what the host looks like. I'm curious about what the host's husband looks like. I'm curious about the host and her husband's wedding. I'm curious about everything, but what I'm most curious about is how the host spent last night. Hehe. You're all bad, but I like it. Host, please do a live broadcast of the wedding night. Su Yiyen's mouth twitched when he saw that the topic in the live broadcast room was beginning to deviate. Just as he was about to change the topic, he heard a familiar notification sound. Congratulations to the host, Yen, for receiving 10 luxurious and exquisite villas sent by a loyal viewer, Mulberry Without Mountain. Congratulations to the host, Yen, for receiving 520 giant oil tankers sent by a loyal viewer, Mulberry Without Mountain. Congratulations to the host, Yen, for receiving 9,999 roses sent by a loyal viewer, Mulberry Without Mountain. A series of special gift effects almost overshadowed the comments that filled the screen. Many people spontaneously stopped spamming the screen when they saw the rows of gifts. Soon, only a colorful message was left on the originally crowded screen. Chapter 268. The bullet screen, which had finally calmed down, seemed to have flipped a switch and began to flood the screen with congratulatory messages. In the eyes of the audience in the live broadcast room, Hu Chenhuan's series of gifts might just be to congratulate Su Yiyen on his marriage. Only Su Yiyen knew that he might have done this simply because he didn't want others to ask about what happened last night. Thinking of this, Su Yiyen's face turned red again. Thank you, everyone. In order to celebrate my marriage, 3 lucky viewers will be given some braised food today. In addition, the guests who go to the restaurant tomorrow will be given a red egg as a wedding gift. Red egg? What is a red egg? Is it an egg with a red shell? What kind of animal's egg is red? Red eggs are eggs that have been dyed with pigment. Giving out red eggs to relatives and friends on festive occasions such as weddings, childbirth, and even the child's 1-month-old birthday is a custom on ancient Earth. It implies prosperity and auspiciousness in the future. As soon as Su Yiyen said this, many people were moved. So there is such a meaning. I must go to the host's shop tomorrow to get a red egg and freeload off her auspicious aura. Maybe my Prince Charming will appear soon and come to marry me on a rainbow cloud. The host's auspicious aura is not something that ordinary people can freeload off. I want to get a red egg too. Pray that I will be promoted and rich next year, and quickly become a billionaire. A group of people began to make all kinds of wishes and pray for the next year in a gourmet live broadcast room. Those who didn't know better would think that they had accidentally joined a fan group. Su Yiyen let them make a fuss, and found what he wanted from the freezer. Pork belly, duck gizzard, duck heart. It seems like I'm still missing something. As soon as Su Yiyen finished speaking, Uncle Zhang walked in from outside with a big box of clean chicken feet in his hand. Young madam, these are the chicken feet you wanted. Su Yiyen's eyes lit up. He hurried forward and took the box of chicken feet. Thank you. There is a lot of smoke in here. Uncle Zhang, you should go outside and wait. It will be ready soon. Okay. I'll go out now. This short interlude once again caused a heated discussion among the audience in the live broadcast room. Young madam? So the host is now at her husband's house? Is the person above stupid? The host and her husband have already had their wedding. Naturally, they have to live together. I was so happy before, I didn't notice that the background of the host's house has changed. But it's still as high-end as before. Of course, not all the comments were so harmonious. Soon, someone in the live broadcast room hinted that Su Yayan had hooked up with a rich man. Such comments were quickly cleared, and the person who posted it was banned. However, there were still quite a few audience members who saw it. Unfortunately, most of them treated it as a joke. Are these days? Edition. The streamer herself is a rich woman. She just married another rich man of equal social status. Can't some people hold back their jealousy? Chapter 269. Although Su Yayan's livestream was not long, she had a lot of die-hard foodie fans. In addition, since the store was open for business, most people who went to the store to eat the medicinal cuisine felt the difference in their physical condition and attracted another wave of loyal fans. When Su Yayan was a newcomer, many people wanted to defame her but failed. Now it was needless to say. Su Yayan put the chicken feet next to other ingredients and watched the audience speak up for her. Her heart felt warm. The next second, she saw someone asking about the chicken feet in her hand. You are all hating the rich, but I only care about the chicken feet in the streamer's hand. I've eaten this thing before. It doesn't have any meat, and it doesn't taste good after being stewed. I'm curious what the streamer will make it taste like. Don't worry, the previous fish was the same. In my impression, even if a lot of ginger was added to the fish, it still had a fishy smell. But the spicy boiled fish made people swallow their tongues. This will definitely work. Is the streamer going to add chili? I feel that chili can suppress many dishes with strong flavors. Spicy fans are looking forward to it. He had to admit that the foodies were very capable. He had only watched Su Yayan's livestream a few times, and he had figured out that chili peppers could cover up many dishes with strong flavors and make them taste better. If it's chili, a little pepper will be added. The taste is not obvious. But you're right. If the chicken feet are delicious, chili can be used to flavor it. But today, I'm going to make a different method. When there's a chance next time, I'll teach you how to make something else. Su Yayan was not surprised by the audience's comments on the chicken feet. In this era where Chinese herbs and chili were scarce, it was impossible for pickled pepper chicken feet and braised chicken feet to appear. But if it were not for these two, the chicken feet would always feel like they lacked a certain soul. This was also the reason why Su Yayan had asked Uncle Zhang if there were any ready-made ingredients in the kitchen. After Su Yayan finished speaking, she set up a pot, added water, and began to add the braising ingredients into the gauze bag. Star anise, cardamom, bay leaf, tangerine peel, cinnamon, fennel. Unlike the previous live streams, Su Yayan did not explain the effects of the herbs to the audience one by one. This was because there were too many herbs to be used in the braising material. As the audience listened to the fresh medicinal herbs that they had never heard of before, they suddenly realized that the host might be preparing a big move. They looked forward to the pot of stew that looked like a hodgepodge. Only Hua Chenhuan, upon hearing Su Yayan's introduction, subconsciously recalled what Su Yayan had said the night before. Then he looked at the pot of stew that was gradually boiling. Hua Chenhuan. So, you really want to cook me and eat me? The boiling hot water gradually brought the smell of the braised ingredients in the gauze bag together with the fragrance of the pork ribs that had been prepared earlier into the soup. The overbearing aroma instantly swept through the small kitchen and the live stream room. It even drifted outside the courtyard. Ling Xiaoqi and Zui Yanbai, who had heard the news and rushed over to eat and drink, were shocked. It also made the audience in the live stream room go crazy. What is this smell? How can it be so fragrant? Oh no, I'm already drooling before I even put the ingredients in. Chapter 270. The flavor of the marinade was obviously much milder than that of the chili, but its aroma was not inferior to that of the chili at all. Su Yayan also considered that Hua Chenhuan's taste was strong and that she could not eat too much chili, so she could try this marinade. Moreover, this pot of marinade was well preserved and could be braised several times. The more it was braised, the more fragrant it would be. As long as she threw in the ingredients she wanted to eat, she could quickly braise a large pot of delicious food. It was very convenient. Su Yiyan had just put a few kinds of hard-to-cook meat into the marinade when she heard Ling Xiaoqi's voice from outside. Yin Yin, what are you doing? Why is it so fragrant? A girl's voice? Is there a young lady in the host's house? It's my friend. I cooked a lot today, so I asked her to come over and eat with me. As expected, this attracted a bunch of messages asking to be friends. At this time, they were not envious of Su Yiyan's mysterious husband anymore. They were envious of her friend. Wouldn't it be nice to have such a good friend who would come over to eat and drink from time to time? Su Yiyan did not know what they were thinking. She turned around and went out of the kitchen to ask Ling Xiaoqi to sit down first, but found that Zui Yanbai and the others were also there. Are you here to look for Chen Huan? Zui Yanbai reacted quickly and said seriously, Yes, there are a few documents in the company that require the young master's signature. We brought them over. Su Yiyan did not suspect anything. Thank you for your hard work. It will be almost noon in a while. Stay for lunch before you go back. Their eyes lit up slightly, but they pretended to decline. How can we do that? Will it be too much trouble for you? It's okay. It won't take much time to make a few dishes. It won't take much time. The two were waiting for her to say this. Without thinking, they said, Then it's better to decline courteously than decline courteously. Su Yiyan. She felt that something was not right. Fortunately, Su Yiyan did not think too much about it. She turned around and went into the kitchen to continue the live broadcast. She put the ingredients that she had prepared earlier into the braising sauce and let it cook by the side. He then picked up a small tool and crushed the spices such as star anise leaves and soaked them in white wine for a period of time. At the same time, he took out the butter that he had prepared earlier and placed it into the wok to stir-fry together with the onions and shallots until they were fragrant. Then he scooped out everything inside, leaving only the oil. After that, add in ginger, garlic, rock sugar, fermented beans, and chopped chili to stir-fry. Finally, add in pepper, chili, and the previously mashed spices, fermented glutinous rice, and other ingredients to stir-fry until it thickens. Let it cool and wait for it to solidify. The viewers in the livestream room had long been hooked by the aroma of the braised ingredients. When they smelled the hot pot ingredients, they almost ascended to heaven on the spot. F***ck, this smell is too strong. There was still an hour before lunch break, but my stomach was already growling loudly. Now a group of people are watching me. I can't wait to dig a hole and bury myself. Ha 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 ha, upstairs I understand. My stomach is also growling because of the smell in the livestream room. Fortunately, the taste and smell simulator can only be used on the host. Otherwise, my entire office would probably surround me and eat me. Su Yiyan looked at the screen full of complaints and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. She opened the ceramic jar at the side and took a look at the big bone soup that the family Hua chef had stewed early in the morning. Chapter 271. After doing that, Su Yiyan began to prepare the ingredients for the hot pot seasoning. First, there were some potatoes, taro lettuce, radishes, and other vegetables. Then there were some beef slices, pork, duck hearts, and duck gizzards. She cut everything, especially the beef and potatoes, which needed to be sliced. They were all cut to about the same size. Unsurprisingly, it attracted another round of praise. After she finished cutting these, the braised food on the side was almost ready. As soon as she opened the lid, the fragrant smell immediately rushed out. It was a bit stronger than before. Not to mention the people waiting outside. Many viewers in the live broadcast room who had turned on their virtual sense of smell subconsciously swallowed their saliva. Su Yiyan poked the things in the pot with her chopsticks. After making sure that they were almost cooked, she picked them out one by one and put them on the plate. As soon as she put them down, the viewers who had been waiting for a long time quickly tasted them. The bullet screen was dense again. Ah, this meat tastes so fragrant. It's 100 times more fragrant than the braised pork I ate before. After tasting it, I only have one thought. Give me a bucket of white rice. I can eat the streamer's family until they become poor. Well, I've been slapped in the face again. Although this chicken feet doesn't have much meat, it's salty and crispy. The more I eat it, the more I want to eat it. I feel like I can eat it all day if you give me a plate. I'm so hungry, I'm really hungry. So hungry, I'm really hungry. Does the streamer lack friends? As long as they provide 3 meals, they can accompany you to go shopping, bring you tea, and be at your beck and call. Su Yiyen was amused by the audience's fancy requests for food. After putting away the braised food, she glanced at the hot pot seasoning that she had cooked before. It was already winter, and the weather was very cold. The hot pot seasoning in the pot had been stifled for more than half an hour, and had already turned into oil cubes. Su Yiyen scooped up the small red oil cubes, and put them into another pot. Then she filled it with hot water. The soup base immediately turned red, and emitted a tempting fragrance. It was also her first time making hot pot. She didn't customize it in advance, and it was impossible to buy a half-and-half double pot outside. She could only cook a pot of soup with 2 flavors. When the time came, they could choose according to their tastes. After doing all this, Su Yiyen sighed softly and smiled slightly. You've all tried the braised food, so I won't talk about it. Just now someone asked me what this is. It's called hot pot seasoning. It's a kind of special soup base. With this soup base, you only need to prepare these ingredients in advance. After cooking them, you'll be able to eat delicious food. The reason why I prepared 2 pots is because everyone has different tastes. Some people like spicy food, while others can't handle spicy food. Hot pot was considered a food from ancient Earth. Considering the taste, there was a special pot with a piece of metal in the middle that divided the pot into 2. One side was filled with spicy soup while the other side was filled with clear soup. It was also known as the Mandarin duck pot. This way, family and friends can gather together to eat without having to worry about different tastes. Su Yiyen's words made the audience yearn for it, but they did not expect to hear Su Yiyen say in the next second, "Hot pot needs to be boiled and eaten on the spot, so I won't let you guys eat the broadcast. The braised food will be put online tomorrow. Most people can eat it, but don't eat too much at once. It's easy to get heady. Since I'm in a rather remote place right now, I won't be doing the lucky draw today. See you tomorrow at the shop." Chapter 272. Dinner is ready. Come and help me out. Zui Yanbai and the others were already tempted by the aroma, and their necks were almost stretched out like swans' necks. Upon hearing Su Yiyen's words, they immediately rushed into the kitchen and asked enthusiastically, "Is there anything we need to move?" Su Yiyen was shocked by their shining eyes. After a few seconds, she said, "These 2 pots of soup have to be carried to the front. Set them up." "Understood, just leave it to us. Young mistress, please move aside so that you don't get scalded." As Gu Xiaoyang spoke, he pushed Su Yiyen aside and followed Zui Yanbai to carry out the soup. Not long after the 2 of them left, Uncle Zhang and Ling Xiaoqi came in. "Young mistress, please wait outside. We'll carry these out." After Uncle Zhang finished speaking, he politely drove Su Yiyen out. Su Yiyen was confused. Su Yiyen felt that she had been abandoned after being used. She helplessly turned around and left the kitchen to find her husband to comfort her broken heart. Hua Chenhuan happened to be coming downstairs after watching the live broadcast. Su Yiyen met him as soon as she came out of the kitchen. Her eyes lit up as she talked to him about the dishes she had just cooked. "I made braised food in hot pot. There are 2 flavors. You should prefer spicy hot pot, but you just took a medicinal bath last night. I have to perform acupuncture on you tonight, so you can only eat a little spicy food. Let's eat the lighter one today, okay?" Since the dishes were made by Su Yiyen, Hua Chenhuan naturally had no objections. "Okay." Seeing that he was so cooperative, Su Yiyen couldn't help but lean over and kiss him. Zui Yanbai and Gu Xiaoyang were about to go back to the kitchen to see if there was anything else they needed help with when they bumped into Uncle Zhang and the others. They also happened to see Su Yiyen's family. Therefore, when Su Yiyen raised his head after kissing her, he was met with the astonished gazes of several people. "Ahem, since everyone is here, let's start eating." Su Yiyen quickly pushed Hua Chenhuan to the table and pretended to be a quail. A gentle smile flashed across Hua Chenhuan's eyes. However, when she looked at Zui Yanbai and the others, her eyes were a little colder, and there was a hint of warning in them. The few of them shuddered and no longer dared to look around. They obediently ran to the kitchen and continued to move things. Although Su Yiyan had prepared a lot of ingredients, it was enough for everyone to make 2 trips back and forth. Putting down the dishes in their hands, no one raised their chopsticks. Instead, each and every one of them looked at Su Yiyan eagerly, as if they were little chicks waiting to be fed. Su Yiyan. Cough, this is a spicy pot, and this is a big bone clear soup pot. You can choose according to your preferences. When the soup is boiling, you can add things to it. As Su Yiyan spoke, he began to add lotus root slices, cucumbers and other vegetables, as well as beef slices into the pot. The vegetables and beef slices are easier to cook. You can eat them when they float. The beef slices don't have to be boiled for too long. You can scoop them out after boiling them for a few times. If you boil them for too long, they will become overcooked and won't taste good. As Su Yiyan spoke, he demonstrated to the others. After the demonstration, he turned around and handed the boiled beef to Hua Chenhuan. Try it. Under everyone's envious gazes, Hua Chenhuan lowered his head and took a bite of the beef. The well-cooked beef was tender and delicious. Paired with the rich bone broth and the dipping sauce that Su Yiyan had made, it tasted special. Delicious. Chapter 273. They couldn't say anything, so they turned their grief into appetite and clumsily learned from Su Yiyan to cook the hot pot with the serving chopsticks. At first, they were a little unfamiliar with it, but later, they slowly realized the joy of cooking by themselves. After Su Yiyan helped Hua Chenhuan boil a few things, she looked at Uncle Zhang, who was standing by the side. She smiled faintly and said, "Uncle Zhang, sit down and eat with us. I've prepared a lot, and we won't be able to finish it all by ourselves." Well, Uncle Zhang hesitated, but Hua Chenhuan spoke before he did. "Sit down. It's more lively with more people." Uncle Zhang was a little stunned. He thought that since Master and Madam passed away and Hua Chenhuan's leg became like this, the family began to become like a big ice house. There were no more relatives or friends, and young Master became taciturn. He didn't interact with people easily, and he didn't even go out. But now, there was finally some warmth and life in the ice house. The boiling hot pot dispelled the cold of winter, and made the old man's eyes red. Uncle Zhang held the bowl and looked at the 2 people opposite him, who only had eyes for each other. He lowered his head and smiled with relief. Gu Xiaoyang happily picked up a spicy beef slice and put it in the bowl. When he was about to eat, he suddenly felt a hand touching his thigh. Gu Xiaoyang's hand trembled, and he almost screamed on the spot. The next second, he saw Yu Ziyan poke his head out from under the table and make a gesture to him to keep quiet. Gu Xiaoyang. What was going on? Yu Ziyan put his palms together and made a gesture to him, but his eyes were glued to the beef slice in Gu Xiaoyang's hand. Gu Xiaoyang was embarrassed. He thought of what Yu Ziyan had said when he tipped him off, and understood instantly. This guy was afraid that young Master would punish him for what happened in the morning, but he was reluctant to give up the delicious food in his mouth. Gu Xiaoyang sighed. In the end, he still cared about Yu Ziyan's credit for tipping him off, so he secretly put the beef slice under the table for Yu Ziyan. After that, the 2 of them began to eat and feed each other in a harmonious manner. Su Yiyan and Su Yiyan were busy feeding each other, so they didn't have time to care about the others. Uncle Zhang and the others were further away, so everything was fine at first. Until Ling Xiaoqi felt the tablecloth shaking slightly under the table. She looked down and saw a hand on the floor not far away. Ling Xiaoqi narrowed her eyes and stood up with a scream. Su Yiyan and the others were shocked. "What's wrong? There's someone down there." Gu Xiaoyang looked embarrassed. Su Yiyan and the others also changed their expressions. Subconsciously, they pulled Hua Chenhuan and moved back to keep a distance from the table. Hua Hua, who had been sitting nearby and ignoring Dundon's harassment, thought that something had happened when she heard her owner's scream. With a whoosh, she darted under the table and bit Yu Ziyan's fleshy butt. Ah! An excessively shrill scream resounded throughout the manor. and the servants who were cleaning outside the courtyard were so scared that they trembled. Everyone in the room watched as a familiar figure crawled out from under the table, wailing and jumping up and down like a monkey. Upon closer inspection, they saw a half-grown corgi cub on Uzian's butt, biting the part with the most meat. No matter how Uzian struggled and begged for mercy, the cub wouldn't let go and vowed to bite off a piece of Uzian's meat. Chapter 274. However, this was not the worst part. When Dundun saw that his wife had rushed out and was still hanging behind Uzian's butt, he was stunned for 2 or 3 seconds before he also rushed over. With a flying pounce, he bit Uzian's other butt. Everyone, so miserable. Su Yiyan and the others were stunned for a few seconds before they recovered from Uzian's wailing. They wanted to help, but they didn't know what to do. The scene was a little chaotic for a moment. Ling Xiaoqi didn't expect Hua Hua to suddenly rush out. She was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted. She hurriedly shouted, "Hua Hua, let go, don't bite." Su Yiyan heard this and quickly echoed, Yes, 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 Dundun, let go. Don't put anything in your mouth. What if you bite something dirty and have diarrhea?" Zui Yanbai and the others. "Young madam, is this the main point?" But it turned out that Su Yiyan's words were useful. When the 2 dogs heard her shout, their small bodies stiffened. Finally, they let go of Uzian's mouth and jumped down. As soon as the 2 dogs let go, Uzian jumped a few more times on the spot. His body fell forward, and he collapsed on the ground with his face facing the ground. Fortunately, the weather was cold and the room was covered with blankets. Otherwise, with the force of his fall, he would definitely be disfigured. Gu Xiaoyang and Zhuo Yanbai watched the 2 corgis jump down from Uzian and walk away before they dared to go forward to check on his condition. After confirming that he should be alive, they raised their hands and poked his head. They gloated and said, "Are you still alive?" Uzian moved his head and buried his face in the carpet again, unwilling to come out. Let him die. Not only was he caught stealing food, but he was also bitten in the butt by 2 dogs in front of so many people. His reputation in this life was completely ruined. Uzian was both embarrassed and in pain. She wished she could travel back in time to half an hour ago and give herself a good beating to wake up from the temptation of delicious food. Ling Xiaoqi wasn't stupid. When she saw how familiar the 2 of them were with Uzian, she knew that he was probably someone from Hua Chunhuan's family. Feeling a little awkward, she hugged Hua Hua and said, "I'm sorry." Hua Chunhuan glanced at Uzian. "No need to apologize. He asked for it." Instead of sitting in a good seat, he insisted on hiding under the table. As for the reason, it was easy to guess with a little thought. It wasn't the first or second time that this brat had barged in without knocking first. This was a good opportunity to teach him a lesson. If he dared to do this again, he would close the door and play Dundun. Dundun, who was inexplicably entrusted with such an important task. At that time, Uzian didn't know his young master's sinister intentions. When he heard Hua Chunhuan say this, he whimpered and buried his face in the carpet again, even more unwilling to get up. Su Yiyan saw him like this and felt a little sympathetic. He asked in a low voice, "Why are you hiding under the table? Do you want to take advantage of our Xiaoqi?" Uzian's whole body shook. He didn't care about his face and the burning pain in his butt. He said anxiously, No, I definitely don't have such an idea." "Then why?" Uzian opened his mouth but couldn't say anything. Seeing that he didn't respond, Su Yiyan became more and more certain of his thoughts. He looked at Uzian with eyes full of pain and disappointment, as if saying, "I didn't expect you to be such a person." Chapter 275. Puffed. Perhaps because Uzian's expression was too sullen, Gu Xiaoyang and the others standing on the side couldn't help laughing out loud. When Uzian heard them laughing, he felt even more ashamed and angry. Fortunately, although the 2 laughed, they still helped Uzian explain. "Young madam, Zian didn't mean to offend Miss Ling. He just wanted to eat your food too much. If he wants to eat my food, then eat it. How can I be so stingy as to not let him eat it? He did something wrong this morning, and was worried that you and young master would blame him. This morning. Su Yiyan suddenly realized. Are you talking about what happened this morning? We've almost forgotten about it, but you still remember it. But it wasn't a big deal, so you don't have to be so nervous. Do you think we'll eat you? Yu Zian thought to himself, you can't eat me, but you can make me unlucky. Especially young master. With his vengeful temper, it was impossible for him not to be unlucky these days. As if reading Yu Zian's mind, Su Yiyan asked Hua Chenhuan after she finished speaking. Chenhuan, don't you think so? Hua Chenhuan's eyes flickered, and naturally agreed with his wife unconditionally. Yes, Yu Zian. So I'm just being unreasonable and worrying for nothing? Yu Zian gave up struggling. He lowered his head and looked like he had nothing to live for. Ling Xiaoqi, on the other hand, was a little curious. What did he do this morning? Why is he so scared? Su Yiyan coughed softly, straightened her face, and changed the topic. It's nothing. Which one of you take him to treat his wound? Also remember to get vaccinated. Although Dun Dun and Hua Hua have both been vaccinated, it's better to be safe than sorry. As soon as Su Yiyan said that, Gu Xiaoyang and Gu Xiaoyang immediately took 3 steps back and distanced themselves from Yu Zian by 3 meters. Obviously, neither of them wanted to miss such a rare meal just to send him to be bandaged. Yu Zian. Motherf *Ker. Was a living person like him not as important as a meal? He finally saw through these 2 fellows. Plastic brotherhood, goodbye. Although if he thought about it from another perspective, if they were bitten and asked him to send them to the hospital, he would actually not be very willing. In the end, it was Uncle Zhang who called for help to escort him off the island. Before he left, Yu Zian looked at them with an extremely sad expression. Especially when he saw the table full of unfinished dishes, he was so regretful that his intestines turned green. As soon as Yu Zian left, Su Yiyan and the others sat back down and started eating. While helping Hua Chenhuan cook, Su Yiyan recalled Yu Zian's expression when he left and couldn't help but laugh. I'll cook some porridge and have someone send it to Zian later. He just ate a few mouthfuls, so he's definitely not full yet. Hua Chenhuan frowned. Although she didn't object, there was still a hint of jealousy in her eyes. Su Yiyan laughed and coaxed her in a low voice. After all, it's our family's dog that bit someone. We have to do something. It was as if their child had gotten into trouble, and as parents, they had to do something to compensate the people who had been harmed by their child. Hua Chenhuan's jealousy dissipated in an instant, and she said awkwardly, "Thank you for your hard work. It's okay. Our Dun Dun is so naughty. I'm used to it." Chapter 276. Su Yiyan had prepared a lot of food. She thought that it would be more than enough for a few people. She did not expect that this group of people would be like the reincarnation of gluttons who had been hungry for many years. They would not stop until they finished the food. In the end, except for her and Hua Chenhuan, the few people, including Uncle Zhang, ate until they were full. Ling Xiaoqi covered her round belly and took Su Yiyan to the small courtyard behind the manor for a walk. Zui Yanbai and Gu Xiaoyang followed Hua Chenhuan upstairs. What they said before was not entirely an excuse. They did have something to report to Hua Chenhuan. However, before Yu Zian called them, they did not have to come so early to be third wheels. Hua Qihan and his wife found out about Hua Xiaofeng and that woman falling into the water last night. It is said that he threw a big tantrum at the hospital and smashed a lot of things. Did he pay for it? Gu Xiaoyang looked confused. What? He smashed things in the hospital. Did he pay for it? Gu Xiaoyang suddenly twitched when he heard this. He found that his young master's style had changed after he got married. I don't think so. Then let him pay for it. Destroying public property is not what a good citizen should do. If he dares not to pay for it, let someone expose him. The head of the Hua group flew into a rage in public and made a scene. I believe a lot of media outlets will like this report. Gu Xiaoyang was slightly stunned. Immediately, his eyes lit up and he said, I understand. Zui Yanbai heard this and asked tentatively, Are you going to completely fall out with Hua Qihan? At the wedding banquet last night, When he heard Hu Chenhuan openly say to those women that he was the only heir of the family Hua, he already had a guess in his heart. Now that he heard his young master's words, Zui Yanbai was even more certain. I gave him time and opportunity, but he didn't take it. Hu Chenhuan twirled the wedding ring in her hand as a cold glint flashed across her eyes. He shouldn't have touched my people. Gu Xiaoyang and Gu Xiaoyang looked at each other and saw some understanding in each other's eyes. Sure enough, young madam was young master's only reverse scale. Anyone who touched her would die. However, this was exactly what they wanted. That's great. All these years, I've watched that family occupy that position with a clear conscience. From time to time, they would come in front of young master to flaunt their prowess and disgust others. Let's see how they can still be proud now. It was stolen in the first place, and yet they are still so shameless. Cough 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 cough. Gu Xiaoyang stopped complaining abruptly. Looking at Zui Yanbai, who kept winking at him, he realized that he had said something wrong and hurriedly shut his mouth. Zui Yanbai took the opportunity to change the topic. I heard from the people who keep an eye on Hu Qihan's family that Hu Qihan and his wife are even more dissatisfied with that woman because of this incident. Gu Xiaoyang knew that Zui Yanbai was helping him to smooth things over, so he took the opportunity to say, "Isn't that so?" What was Hu Xiaofeng thinking? He didn't want a virtuous wife like young madam, and chose a wretch who has no family background, no talent, and is not even as pretty as young madam. He dragged her around every day to show off his intelligence. It's so funny. When Hu Chenhuan heard what he said, she only replied faintly, "If he wasn't blind, how could I have picked him up?" Chapter 277. If what you said last night got out, I'm afraid that Hu Qihan will come to trouble you and young madam. Hu Chenhuan narrowed his eyes dangerously. If he can still trouble me and Yan Yan, it means that he hasn't encountered much trouble yet. Zui Yanbai's eyes darkened slightly. The land that Hu Qihan bought before is almost in trouble. But if this happens, I'm afraid that the Hu Corporation will also suffer a great loss. It doesn't matter. The Hu Corporation that Hu Qihan has been in charge of for so many years is no longer the Hu Corporation that my father left behind. Zui Yanbai frowned and remained silent. With Hu Chenhuan's current assets, the small Hu Corporation was indeed not worthy of his attention. But in this case, why should he spend so much effort to get the Hu Corporation back? As if seeing Zui Yanbai's thoughts, Hu Chenhuan sneered. No matter what, the Hu Corporation was left behind by my father. They don't deserve it. Hu Chenhuan said and asked again, "How is the investigation of the cause of my parents' death going?" When they heard Hu Chenhuan's question, their expressions turned solemn and they said apologetically, "It's been a long time since the incident happened. Most of the people involved have gone far away or passed away. It's a little slow to investigate." This answer was within Hu Chenhuan's expectations. He lowered his eyes and said, "It's okay. You can continue to investigate. There will always be a result. If this matter had nothing to do with Hu Qihan and his wife, it would be fine. If it was really related..." Hu Chenhuan's eyes were full of hostility. He subconsciously touched the ring on his finger. When he opened his eyes again, the terrible hostility had gradually dissipated. Downstairs, Su Yiyan was dragged by Ling Xiaoqi to the back garden of the manor, and walked back and forth a few times. She was not so full anymore. Then they sat side by side under the swing in the yard and chatted. The yard was surrounded by blue roses that Su Yiyan liked. Circles of lavender morning glories climbed on the pergola of the swing. It looked warm and beautiful, perfectly in line with the fairyland of the ancient castle in fairy tales. "It's so beautiful here," Ling Xiaoqi praised while swinging the swing. "I used to think that few rich men were not fickle. Now that I see you getting along with your husband, I realize that I was narrow-minded. There are good and bad people in every group. There are good people and bad people in the poor, and naturally, there are also bad people in the rich. The kind of rich men you're talking about are either playboys who live their lives and wait for death, or those who rely on women to start their careers, but are arrogant and self-righteous. It does make sense for men to turn bad once they have money, but it's not absolute. It's just that under the bombardment of money and drunken riddles, fewer people can hold on. That's why girls still have to keep their eyes open. Don't look for a boyfriend in the garbage dump. If you're really unfortunate enough to meet one, you have to know how to withdraw in time to stop your losses, lest you sink deeper and deeper. Ling Xiaoqi listened to her words, and was silent for a long time. She couldn't help but laugh and say, "Oh, you have become a relationship consultant after getting married. You have a lot of reasons. It's a pity that many things in this world are easier said than done, just like your husband. What you're saying now makes sense. If he really changes in the future, you may not be willing to let go." "That's impossible." "What?" "Even if he changes, he will only love me more and more. It's impossible for the kind of thing you're worried about to happen." Chapter 278. Su Yiyan's eyes flashed with a trace of craftiness as he chuckled. "Men become bad when they have money. Then why don't we make them poor? Your man owns such a large manor under his name. How can he be poor? Who said that this manor is his?" Ling Xiaoqi blinked. Then, as if she had thought of something, her eyes suddenly widened. "It's not his? Could it be that he rented it?" "That's right. Buying an island and a manor for a wedding is too extravagant. In fact, renting this place to hold such a dream wedding for you is already very considerate. What are you thinking? This island is not rented." "Not rented? Then just now This island was indeed his before, but..." Su Yiyan raised his chin, looking proud as if he was showing off his favorite toy to a good friend. "It's mine now." "Yours?" Ling Xiaoqi almost turned into a screaming chicken. "That's right. When he proposed to me, he gave this to me. Not only here, he also gave me a lot of movable and immovable property as betrothal gifts. My parents didn't accept them and transferred them to me as my dowry." After speaking for a long time, Su Yiyan didn't hear any movement from Ling Xiaoqi's side. He turned his head and saw Ling Xiaoqi's sparkling little eyes. "Dear, do you still need a leg accessory?" Su Yiyan refused. "You're too heavy. I can't walk if I hang it on me. I don't want you." Ling Xiaoqi clutched her chest, looking as if she had suffered a violent blow. "It's true that you don't want your old love when you have a new one. When you liked me, you made all kinds of vows and sweet nothings. You even wanted to pick the stars and the moon for me. Now that you've met someone better, I, the white moonlight, have become yesterday's flower. It's too sad." Su Yiyan's mouth twitched slightly, but his face still looked cold and indifferent. "Give up. I've already found my true love. It's impossible between us. However, if you're willing, you can let our pups replace us to make up for this regret." Ling Xiaoqi's face changed slightly. She stopped pretending to cry and said with arms akimbo, "Well, not only are you a scumbag, you even dare to covet my Huahua. Aren't you doing this because I love you? You're going too far. Give up. I'll never agree to this marriage." Fortunately, the two cubs ran out to play after eating. Otherwise, if Dun Dun, that kind of licking dog, really heard the conversation between these two masters of drama, it might really believe it and lay on the ground to make a scene and act shamelessly. Su Yiyan sighed, looking like an old mother who was worried sick about her child. "That's not right. Our Dun Dun is a good boy. He looked honest and was loyal to Huahua. It was just that Chihuahua was not by his side, and he had never thought of looking for another dog. What an infatuated and loyal dog. Now he has a handsome and rich dog for a father. His value has skyrocketed. He can be considered a noble among dogs. He's the prettiest pup in the Corgi family. You and your Huahua are a perfect match. There's nothing more perfect than that." Ling Xiaoqi listened to Su Yiyan's shameless boasting and almost couldn't hold back her laughter. "No matter how good he is, it's useless if my Huahua doesn't like him." Just as she finished speaking, there was a sudden high-pitched barking and a woman's ear-piercing scream outside the door. Chapter 279. When Su Yiyan and Dun Dun ran out of the backyard, they saw Huahua's fur bristling as it bared its fangs at the two people in front of it. Dun Dun was barking at them from the side. The funniest thing was that Mrs. Hua, who was proud of herself outside, was now weak in the knees. She screamed and grabbed her husband's pants. She used so much strength that she almost pulled Hua Qihan's pants off. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and felt that this scene was very familiar. Hua Qihan's face was livid. His aggressive manner when he came had long faded away, leaving only a belly full of anger. He tried to pull up his pants and gnashed his teeth, wanting to kick the two dogs. Su Yiyan's eyes turned cold and her face darkened. Fortunately, Mrs. Hua was holding them back. Hua Qihan's kick did not hurt the two little guys at all. Instead, he staggered and almost fell. Uncle Zhang, who had been smiling and pretending to coax the two dogs to leave, saw this scene and his face darkened. He said coldly, "President Hua, this dog is young madam's favorite pet. If you hurt it, I'm afraid it will be difficult to explain to young madam." The term President Hua and the intimate young madam formed a sharp contrast. It also fully showed Uncle Zhang's intimate attitude toward the two. Hua Qihan had always been sensitive to this kind of differential treatment. His face immediately darkened and he laughed angrily. "Explain? What do I need to explain to her? It's just a beast. Let alone injuring it. Even if I kick it to death today, what can she do to me?" Uncle Zhang's face was cold and he did not comment. He had once doted on this young master, but it was a pity that this young master was an ingrate who could not be nurtured properly. Back then, Madam and old master doted on him and gave him everything. As soon as the two of them passed away, he could not wait to reveal his true colors. Not only did he want to monopolize all the property of the family Hua, but he also wanted to drive the young master out of the family Hua. Fortunately, old master had left a will and left some real estate to the young master. Otherwise, such an unfilial, heartless scum had long made these old people, who had been in the family Hua for a long time, bitterly disappointed. Naturally, their attitude towards him was not any better. However, Hua Qihan had no self-awareness at all. He still felt that these people owed him for offending their superiors. "Who says I can't do anything to you?" On the second day of their wedding, Su Yiyan originally did not intend to come forward and argue with these troublesome things. When she heard Hua Qihan's words, she sneered and walked out. She held the two dogs in her arms. "Poor Zai Zai, you're being bullied by these outsiders in your own home. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Master is here." Dundun was still barking, vowing to be a proud dog that Hua Hua could rely on. As soon as it heard its master's words, it immediately softened and cried out pitifully. In an instant, it changed from dog Outyin to dog Jiao Jiao. Hua Hua glanced at it with disdain, its face saying, "How did I get to know such an embarrassing dog like you?" Chapter 280. Su Yiyan was already angry at this idiot who wanted to kill her dog. When she heard his arrogant words, she almost stepped forward and kicked him. At this time, Uncle Zhang was still worried that she would be at a disadvantage, so he explained, "Young madam, it's like this. Dundun and Hua Hua were playing in the front yard when President Hua and Mrs. Hua suddenly came to visit. As soon as they saw Dundun, they suddenly rushed up and kicked it. Hua Hua happened to see this scene, so it bit Mrs. Hua. Hua Hua, who had been slightly raising its chin and disdainful of what was happening in front of it, heard Uncle Zhang's explanation, and hit Dundun with the back of its hand. It was not clear whether it was dissatisfied with how useless it was or depressed that it made such a fool of itself. Dundun, who was caught off guard. Su Yiyan's expression changed when she heard Uncle Zhang's words. She picked up Dundun and said anxiously, "You were kicked? Where were you kicked? Let me take a look." Dundun was turned around by its owner, and thought that its owner was playing with it. It immediately cooperated and pretended to be weak and collapsed into its owner's arms. Little did it know that Su Yiyan was scared half to death because of its actions. "Dundun, what's wrong with you? Don't be afraid. Master will take you to see a doctor. It's okay, it's okay." As she said that, she picked up Dundun and scolded Hua Qihan with a dark face. "What kind of dog is this? You're Chenhuan's big brother and the head of family Hua. Why don't you take a look and see if you're worthy? It's fine if my Dundun is fine today, but if something really happens to him because of your kick, believe it or not, I'll buy a bunch of mad dogs and send them to your house tomorrow." They'll bite you, your wife, and your dog's son to death. Su Yiyen's little mouth was like a machine gun, spitting out words one after another. Hua Qihan's face turned green, and he was so angry that he almost died on the spot. Uncle Zhang did not expect her to suddenly explode. It took him a while to react. He held back his laughter and said, "Young madam, I was too careless with my words just now and caused you to misunderstand." Although President He wanted to kick the dog, he wasn't as agile as a young man, so he only narrowly missed it. Su Yiyen, who was rushing out, stopped abruptly and lowered his head to look at Dundun. "Are you all right?" Dundun looked back at her innocently, trying to get away with it. Su Yiyen. Su Yiyen was silent for a few seconds before he tried to salvage the situation. Even if he wasn't really hit, he must have been scared to death. Our family's Dundun is still a baby. Which heartless bastard had the heart to do such a thing to it? You too. I just told you not to bite these dirty things at noon, but you didn't listen. What if you have diarrhea? Dundun whimpered, feeling wronged. Hua Qihan had thought that Su Yiyen would ignore him after learning that she did not kick the B***-starred dog. Who would have thought that after waiting for such a long time, all he got was a few words? He almost vomited blood. "You're full of filthy words and distorting the truth. It was clearly your dog that bit my wife, but now you're blaming us and talking to us like this. Is this the upbringing of the Su family?" Su Yiyen's face darkened and she sneered. "If you hadn't kicked my dog, would they have bitten you? You came to my house to kick my dog. Don't talk about being bitten in the leg. Even if you were bitten to death, don't you deserve it?" Su Yiyen said, ignoring how ugly Hua Qihan's expression was. She turned to Uncle Zhang and said, "Uncle Zhang, check the planet's laws on the heaviest punishment for trespassing, and what rights the owner has to deal with trespassing." You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.